It was Sergio Perez who took victory in Jeddah after Max Verstappen failed to set a time in Q2 in qualifying, meaning he started from 15th. The Dutchman did come through to finish second, but Sergio held off the Dutchman's charge to secure an important early season victory. My name's Aaron and these are my driver ratings for the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. Kicking things off with the race winner, Sergio Perez gets a 5. He lost the start but executed his race perfectly thereafter, especially the safety car restart. Red Bull boss Christian Horner said it's his best victory and it's certainly in the top 3 of Checo's 5. Next is Fernando Alonso getting a 4.5 rating. He lost P3 through no fault of his own, and the grid lineup rule is one that I strongly dislike. Fortunately, since writing my notes, Alonso has been given back that position on the podium for his 100th career podium. Max Verstappen is next with a 4. The Dutchman recovered well, but I'd have expected him to have done more in closing the gap to Perez, and that's more credit to the Mexican than it is against Verstappen. Moving on to George Russell, who also gets a 4. He produced a great qualifying lap and had good race pace, gapped Hamilton when he needed. He was there to benefit from Alonso's momentary misfortune, but P4 is still a strong result for the Englishman. Next is Kevin Magnussen getting a 3.5 and a valuable point for Haas. I loved his move on Tsunoda for 10th. It was great to see them both late on the brakes, locking up. A shame we didn't see it from the front-facing view, but it was still excellent racing between the pair of them. Next up is Lewis Hamilton. The 7-time world champion gets a rating of 3. A disappointing qualifying performance, but he showed a little bit better in the race. His move on Carlos Sainz was particularly effective. Next up is Esteban Ocon in the Alpine. He gets a 3, a neat and tidy job after a solid qualifying. And his teammate Pierre Gasly gets a 3, and it was much the same story. They finished 8th and 9th, some nice points for the French team. Lance Stroll is up next. He gets a 3, even though he failed to finish the race. He qualified really well and was unlucky to have to stop the car mid-race. Other than that, he did a good solid job. Coming next is Yuki Tsunoda, who also gets a 3. It was an impressive drive from Tsunoda to make the most of his strategy, but the Japanese was frustrated to lose that place to Magnussen, as we heard on the team radio. Ferrari drivers are up next. It's Charles Leclerc getting a 2.5. His qualifying was great, but he really lacked pace on the hards. That's probably a limitation of the car, but still, I mean, to finish behind both Mercedes and Aston Martin, would have been both Aston Martins, that's really not good enough. Carlos Sainz is next. He also gets a 2.5. He did the best he could with the car that Ferrari have, I suppose. He finished ahead of Leclerc. To be honest, they were both unlucky with the timing of the safety car versus their pit stops, so Ferrari were kind of stuffed in that respect. Oscar Piastri is next. He also gets a 2.5. A superb qualifying lap from the Aussie, but it was instantly undone by turn 2 contact and wing damage, ruining any hopes of points having started in the top 10. Nico Hülkenberg also started in the top 10. He had decent race pace and held off Logan Sargent on faster tyres before pulling away. Did a solid job. He also gets a 2.5. Also getting 2.5 out of 5 are the Williams drivers. First up, Alex Albon. He had a solid race before a technical issue with the brakes. Maybe points without that? Who knows? Logan Sargent gets a 2.5 as well. He couldn't make use of the medium tyres against the hard-tyred shod cars around him, but let's be honest, he's still learning. It's not an easy track to go for your second Grand Prix. Lando Norris is up next. He gets a 2, an error in qualifying which was most unlike him, and then he compounded it in the race by getting wing damage early on. This weekend was just one to forget for Lando. Valtteri Bottas is the 18th highest place on this list. He gets a 2. He had no pace and he was nowhere really. Zhou Guanyu also gets a 2. He was hamstrung by Alfa Romeo's big struggles for speed around the circuit. He did out-qualify Bottas again though. Nick de Vries rounds this off with a 2. A disappointing result for the Dutch driver, but I'm guessing his race hinged on the timing of the safety car. So they're my ratings. Who was your top performer in Jeddah? You can see the average ratings here with the top 10, and now moving to the bottom half of the average table. If you enjoyed this video, give it a nice big thumbs up for me, subscribe for more Grand Prix content, and thanks very much for watching.